I've got 13 separate topics and videos to talk about today. It was a total of over 4 hours, and I have rammed them all down into one super video for you to watch. The first video that I want to talk about is Talking Elite Fitness.
Good for that. I think she's getting out right about the right time. So,
Katrin, Davidsdottir, announcing her retirement.
I've decided to retire from competing in CrossFit.
Surprise! She's actually one of the most early videos that I made where I put up the thumbnail and I knew that it would get a whole bunch of clicks. I was really into that way back then. I guess I'm still into that. But even back then, the topic of discussion was thanks to her coach, Ben Bergeron. Ben Bergeron and Katrin saying, hey, this is how we're going to do our burpees. I'm going to go over the burpee standard, and then I'm going to use this burpee standard to kind of talk about what CrossFit is doing not so well. During the online semifinal workout, which I believe the year was 2021, she was doing this crazy weird jump over the bar when they didn't really know how to tell people not to use 2 feet, but to also jump with both legs. So she was jumping, but it was some sort of a lunge thing, and I made this video and I got a whole bunch of views, and I can thank Katrin Davidsdottir for doing that sort of thing, or maybe I should be thanking Ben Bergeron. And as I was looking through Katrin's old videos, I stumbled upon this gem where 19.3, she was doing those box step-ups when it was the lunge and the handstand push-up and the handstand walk. And the reason that this is important is because this year during the online quarterfinals, there was this mass exodus of athletes for either the CrossFit Games judging team. You'll remember Pat Vellner, Bill Leahy, Paige Powers couldn't go to the CrossFit Games because they were not meeting the hip and knee extension on the top of the box. And this is an open workout. An open workout from 2019, the season for Katrin that should have never happened. Katrin went on to finish 4th in the CrossFit Games in the year 2019. And I believe that was the year where she qualified directly out of the open, but just by looking at that video right there, that should not have been the case. There would have been some sort of a penalty, at least if they were using the same standard. And this is why standards are so important. This is why they always need to be the same way. So you can, in the year 2024, compare the 2 separate standards. Katrin's doing this in 2019, and apparently it's okay then, but it's not okay now, and then all of a sudden there is no standard. Again, really looking forward to the advanced judges course that they just announced this past week. Katrin also ended her video saying that this is not goodbye, it's just the start of something new.
And this is not a goodbye. It's just the start of something new.
Quick look at her social blade on Instagram sees that she's been losing popularity over time. Not many people expected her to compete this upcoming season for various reasons. Katrin was my favorite CrossFit female in the years that she was winning, like the 15, 16, 17 time period. Took a little bit of disdain towards Ben Bergeron because I feel like he was riding a wave and he kind of ruined Katrin. And then I was really fond of her going to work with HWPO because she was elevated back to being a very competitive athlete. And as you can tell, I followed Katrin's career pretty closely, so I wonder what she means when she says she's going to be doing something new. Because everybody who gives 2 craps about what she's saying right there really likes her for who she was as the athlete. And then there's someone else in this space who hasn't been competing for a while, and her name is Mal O'Brien. She isn't competing, so it's kind of like where Katrin is going, into non-competition land. There's a couple of things in Mal O'Brien's video which lead me to believe that she isn't getting back into competition land. While she is squatting pretty heavy in this video, she goes to say that it is a bodybuilding segment she's going through.
Recently, I've really dove into like bodybuilding type training, and then still doing a ton of cardio, which is like running or Stairmaster or biking. So today we're gonna hit like a leg session.
Now bodybuilding is used fairly well in conjunction with CrossFit, and I think that a lot of CrossFitters should be using some more bodybuilding training to elevate their fitness levels. Mal seems to be doing a lot of running, a lot of that zone 2 work that everybody talks about, and then she is also doing some heavy weightlifting. But this might be a good time for me to tell you the hybrid versus CrossFit thing that I kind of came across the other day. It was just sparked in my brain the other day. All hybrid lifters are, hybrid athletes are CrossFitters that don't want to snatch. Like Hunter McIntyre is the ultimate hybrid athlete. Very good at running, very high power output on the ergs, but couldn't snatch 225 if his life depended on it. Couldn't clean and jerk 300 pounds if his life depended on it. Probably more likely to do the latter than the former, but you know what I'm saying. The high level gymnastics, they go out the window with the hybrid athletes. They just don't have to care about it because they don't want to take the time to figure out how to do those things. So do the things that you're good at really well, and there is a space for both of them. But hybrid athletes have no stone to throw at a CrossFitter. The CrossFitters are definitely fitter. Every day of the week, you take the CrossFitter in a fitness competition. Jeff Adler versus Hunter McIntyre. Jeff Adler. And James Sprague. Didn't want to move on past Mal O'Brien without mentioning her pickles that she's eating. I'm a big fan of these pickles. They have them at Costco. I made a video maybe 2 months ago saying that I think that the pickle is the ultimate diet food because there's no calories in pickles. That's cucumbers and salt. Grillo Pickles. This is a sponsor that I could get down with. Or Vlasic. Any pickle company. I freaking love pickles. So I was kind of jealous seeing that Mal Mal O'Brien got a box of pickles shipped to her. And on the topic of jealousy and the things that athletes may or may not have, can't look any further than Jeff Adler's recovery room.
Here's my recovery area.
I'm not jealous of these things. And I want to know who named this thing the Sweaty Goat. The Sweaty Goat, if you've seen the movie Waiting, you'll know what the goat is.
If you can pull it off.
So when I think Sweaty Goat, that's what I think. I believe this is Michael Phelps' company, and I believe he is the goat of swimming. But I watched this video right after I had seen every single athlete in the CrossFit space post every Black Friday and Cyber Monday deal that they have to offer. And it makes me go down the rabbit hole that I always go down, which is, what was this video created for? Was it actually to show your recovery room, or was it some sort of glorified ad for your sponsors? Unfortunately for the people like Jeff Adler and all these other athletes, we came from a period of time, I say we, people like me, I'm in my 30s, I watched Froning and Fraser and Katrin Davidsdottir, who we already talked about, and even a little bit of Mal O'Brien coming out. You're seeing some awesome stuff where there are no promotional pitches. And I'm a little bit revved up, and I know that I'm revved up because everything you've seen from any of the high-level athletes who are, yes, trying to make a living, and this is how they make a living, to be the athletes that we see compete all the time, beating each other down.
I am noble. Floods me with so much emotion.
But it is exhausting, especially during this time of year, which is supposed to be Thanksgiving, at least in America. America. There's a difference between America and basically the rest of the world.
Wow.
And I get reminded of that when I see stuff such as this Heart of Europe documentary that they put out on, I don't know, I'll put the link in the bio. I'm gonna butcher this, but I think it's the Belgrade Games. From what I gather, having watched this documentary, they put the thing off a little bit. They wanted to do what they could in Serbia to honor Lazar Jukic. And the reason that I'm pitching this thing up against America is because I think this is what a lot of the non-American competing athletes are talking about. This is kind of what they expected when the CrossFit Games did their memorial, their tribute to Lazar during the CrossFit Games. It was short, it was quiet, there was no video. You heard everybody talking and saying the things they had to say about it, and this is what they expected. It's nothing that I, as an American, would have ever seen happening at the games this year. It reminds me that CrossFit is a very American sport, and it's being held against CrossFit, where they actually tried. So I can see why they would be upset, because this is what they expected. And you can go see that in the entire documentary. I recommend it. Again, I said I'll put the link in my bio so you can go and watch that and see what they did for Lazar. His brother Luka was competing at that thing, but it just builds a little bit of perspective. This is America. I am Andrew Hiller, the American, sitting in the Chicagoland area, and I'm like, oh, that's what they wanted. That's why they're upset. Amongst other things, I suppose. But one of the biggest topics of contention was how they handled the memorial at the games this year. So go check that out. Build context. On to more lighthearted topics. Taylor Self loses again.
Wow, he made $1,000.
Now, honestly, when I look at this workout from Kill Taylor this week, I didn't think that there was any chance that he was going to lose. Taylor's really good at these two movements. Senor Circus Dole from CrossFit Krypton called in and whooped him up, but I'm pretty sure Taylor's got a losing record right now on the Kill Taylor show. Personally, I want to see that thing hit $10,000. Just do 50 muscle-ups for time next week, Taylor. Every single week, 50 muscle-ups for time, no one's got you. Kind of like nobody understands what's going on at this High Rocks race. James Kelly was in my comments section. I got a lot of respect for James Kelly. He's an incredible fitness racer. Probably a lot like Hunter McIntyre. Couldn't snatch 225 if his life depended on it, but he is, I think, the best in the High Rock space right now, and he's telling me to stay in my lane. And I'm just thinking, why on this planet Earth would I stay in my lane? This dude is doing something that looks ridiculous. I come from the movement standard sphere. Your sport is likely not using these ski ergs if it isn't for my entity that is CrossFit. And now I am branching out, and I'm telling everybody that's probably not the best way to be using a ski erg. Everyone in the comment section sees it. It had 300,000 plus views last time I looked, and I bet that this dude who's skiing probably got a kick out of it. And the joke there was that CrossFit, for the longest time, they kip everything. They're kipping their push-ups, they're kipping their pull-ups, they're kipping their forks when they're putting them in their mouths when they're eating dinner. And the main thing that I don't want anything to do with High Rocks for is because it's a 10K run. You gotta run freaking 5 miles. It sounds like a nightmare to me. But the people who gravitate towards High Rocks are generally good runners, like the James Kellys, like the Hunter McIntyres. And now all of a sudden, those people who are the good runners and gravitate towards the freaking running sport are now trying to run the ski erg. He's running on the ski erg. That was funny. And no, I'm not gonna stay in my lane, James. Well, I say that, but here comes this one.
Do you constantly feel burnt out by all the fitness and wellness content there is out there? It's totally understandable to care about your health, but it feels like everybody wants you to do the absolute most to be the healthiest version of yourself possible.
Because in a world of extremes, it's better to do the absolute most than to do absolutely nothing at all. I mean, Bethany Robinson, Sporty Beth, you are sitting there, and as I watch your video, I hear you breathing into that microphone. and you're telling everybody you're training for a 5K, you're doing 30+ minute consecutive runs, but it does not seem like it when you're on the freaking microphone the entire time.
From filtering your tap water, eliminating fluoride toothpaste, all the way up to crazy coffee enemas. And people fall in lots of different areas on the spectrum. Maybe you care a little bit about your health, so you do want to engage with some of this content, but some of the extreme stuff is really burning you out and really getting to you. And you're trying to fit in all of these things in during the day.
Now, the thing that sucks with Bethany is that I hear what she's saying. I've already talked about all of the promotional pitches made by my favorite athletes on the internet. I understand that that's who I follow. She's making a video about how she's burnt out about the things that she's seeing on her social media feed, and she thinks that other people are getting burnt out. She's projecting this to nobody. Andrew, are you projecting this to nobody as well? That right there is a question that I bet Bethany has never asked herself. She's giving herself excuses in her own video to be doing nothing. Nothing! You don't want to filter your water? It's too stressful for you to drink clean water? Are you kidding me?
As well as maybe being a mum like me, or having a busy job, or trying to run a business, or just trying to get by in this economy.
It's an extension of what I just said. What do you do all day that's so stressful? You can't work out because things are expensive? What?
Not to mention the fact that, like, eggs are really expensive right now.
You said that right after the economy thing. The eggs and the economy are the same thing. You're redundant.
And it's really hard to wade through all of the science and find out what is actually evidence-based.
You just said that you spend all day coaching, and you used to be a teacher, and now you're bringing up evidence-based stuff, and now it starts to make me think, like, why would anybody listen to you and hire you as a coach? Tell them how to do as little as possible. I've had my own things to say about your pull-up program, where the only reason you can still even do pull-ups, even if you can do them at the moment, is because you learned how to do them when you were at your peak CrossFit condition. That's my thing with Sporty Beth, guys. Remember, it's not that she is a big person telling you to do nothing. It's that she was a fit person who is way less fit now and is telling people to do the same thing.
I'm running for longer and longer. I'm doing a 5K next week. I may have already done it by the time this video is out. And I can do lots of different things.
I have literally seen that video of her running at least a dozen times. She uses the same clip over and over and over again.
And I can do lots of different things. That means that I am fit. But a lot of people will say that I'm not fit because of the way that my body looks. And a lot of fitness influencers don't acknowledge that fitness doesn't have a look, and that fitness and health come in all different shapes and sizes.
I'm gonna say it. Fitness might not have a look, but fatness and obesity certainly has a look. You want research, Beth? BMI calculator. Now, I bumped into Sporty Beth at the CrossFit Games a couple years back, and I know that we're about the same height. So she's about 5'9". She might be a little bit shorter, she might be a little bit taller. But just by looking at these people, which I'm pretty good at doing as a wrestler in my previous days, I can look at Sporty Beth and I can tell you that she's about 240 pounds. 240 pounds. 5'9" female, her BMI is about 35. She is literally sitting in the obese category. This is something that you can do by looking at people.
But a lot of people will say that I'm not fit because of the way that my body looks.
So yeah, there are people that are sneaky fit. I think that was actually Armand Hammer's thing back in the day. He was sneaky fit. You look at him, he looks like an average dude, and then he goes and he runs a 6-minute mile, the clean and jerks 255, the whole thing. Yeah, he's a sneaky fit guy. So she's right in telling you that fitness doesn't have a look, but fatness and obesity has a look. And it is not healthy to be obese.
Oh well.
Because a lot of them make a large amount of their money or their followers based off of how their body looks.
I do not make a large amount of money based off of the way my body looks. I've been wearing my shirt this entire time, but now that you bring it up, I'll take it off just to prove your point for you.
And you can see this by, if you see like a workout split video or a what I eat in a day video, it will always start with a body check.
Don't make those. So you're saying that everybody makes all their money off of their look, but that's not true. Speaking of which, how do I look, Sporty Beth?
I'll put up a little example, but basically at least the first 3 seconds, like if we talk about a visual hook in social media, something that grabs your attention, 99% of the time with fitness influencers, it is how their body looks.
Now this is really frustrating to me because as somebody who takes in all of Sporty Beth's content with the exception of her Instagram because she has blocked me, she does the exact same thing. She's talking about fitness influencers who use their body as hooks, but she also uses her body as a hook. They're telling you how they eat in a day and they've got their shirtless muscle whatever picture sitting there, but she rage baits people with her giant body doing stuff. The captions are always like, don't underestimate how a big person can move. I'll find 10 other ones and put them on the screen right now. It's always her doing something with her big body and she knows what she's doing and she's telling other people that they're exploiting it, exploiting themselves, exploiting others, which makes her a massive hypocrite. And on the sequencing of staying in my lane, we gotta go take a look at Tanner Shuck.
I totally forgot to film an intro for this video.
I noticed that my buddy Tanner had another channel. It's got like 70 something followers. And I saw something pretty interesting on that channel that I want to share with you guys.
Damn, that stuff felt the best. You notice I'm doing it with my feet up? Obviously because I can't put my feet down because I can't put any weight through my right foot right now. Oh yeah, I didn't even realize. Most of you probably have no idea what happened to my ankle. Fuck. Nothing happened to it. I've been having a flat foot deformity on my foot since 2021 when I broke my ankle deadlifting 605 pounds. I deadlifted the weight, got the deadlift, and I was celebrating. I threw the bar down and it landed on my knee and broke my ankle.
605 pounds is a lot of weight, especially for somebody who's natural, which Tanner claims that he is. That's not what this is going to be about. What this is going to be about is the endless amounts of crap that Tanner has thrown at CrossFit because he seemingly couldn't keep up with the Joneses. He won the Dubai 2013 CrossFit Championship. Wow. Woo, he's a super fit character for having done that over 10 years ago. But since then, I've heard him say various times that he gets hurt doing this, he could never keep up because he hurt that, he hurt this, he hurt this. And when I see this deadlift, it just looks like he is a freaking idiot. Are you kidding me? You pick up that weight and then you slam it into your own leg and now you're put into a hole again. You're not just somebody who's injury prone, you're somebody who hurts yourself. It sucks that you're hurt, but it also sucks that you don't realize that you did this to yourself. It's not just like, my frame couldn't take it. I did too much CrossFit and I'm broken. You broke yourself.
Really messed my ankle up. And it healed, but I had a really flat foot, so it never healed properly. So I just had a surgery where they basically cut my heel bone off. They cut my heel bone off, shifted it medially, like inwards, like one centimeter at least, maybe more, to basically balance my ankle again.
It's just crazy that this dude can do this sort of thing to himself, and then he can say that CrossFit isn't making you stronger, CrossFit isn't making you fitter when he's breaking his own body. And I want to make one third installment into the people that are in my lane, and that is Mr. Zach Tellander, on a topic that is pretty close to home here.
In the last couple weeks, we've kind of come to this point, especially with like the Alex Eubank thing, where and I called it, I don't know if you saw my video, but I called it kind of the age of the testosterone influencer.
I saw it.
Yeah, and my thesis around this is like, you're definitely a part of this. Derek's been a part of this. The whole online community has been a part of the fake natty callouts, and the biggest resounding answer to it is just be honest about your drug use. And what I've been saying for a while is like, that's not the answer that we think it is.
I've heard The Rock, or like speculation about The Rock and why he is clearly on performance enhancing drugs, but he never told anybody. It's because it gives this weird message to the younger generation that in order to be The Rock, you have to take performance enhancing drugs to do those things.
You think?
And that's not the right message.
You think?
And I think that's what Zach is saying.
You think?
However,
It doesn't matter!
I don't really know what he wants you to do, because you can either be open and honest, or you can be a fake natural charlatan, which he also makes various videos about. I just don't know what he wants. He's talking to Greg Doucette, and I've seen a buttload of Greg Doucette videos. But this is basically, Zach, what do you want from these people?
It's not that simple.
You don't want them to do either of the things that they're supposedly doing.
And so we're kind of seeing it now with Alex Eubank. He's just being honest. He's being honest about his use. He's being honest. But is he being honest about why he's using?
Wouldn't that just be me? I started using testosterone because I wanted to see what it was like. I was no longer considering myself a elite level, didn't want to pursue high level CrossFit anymore. So I'm like, hey, what is it like to take the testosterone? And everyone else can watch me do that as well. I think one of the coolest things about taking the testosterone is it ups my energy levels. I've made videos on that. It allows me to sleep less. It allows me to retain muscle mass to the tune of something that I couldn't have imagined, even more exceeding what I had when I was at my heaviest and strongest when I was a natural CrossFitter. So am I doing what you want? Currently taking 100 milligrams of testosterone a week? I don't know.
My thing, Greg, is do all the roads lead to steroids? Is that where we're at? If you're a fitness influencer from when you're a teenager, you have a great body, you've worked really hard, your progress kind of stalls a little bit.
Greg goes on to a little rant saying that if you're on steroids, you're equally as unhealthy as an obese person. I think that what he's saying is if you're abusing and you're in like the 500 milligram testosterone range and your blood work looks like crap, it mimics someone of an obese person. And I see my blood work at someone who's sitting at 100 milligrams per week, and I don't think that that applies to someone like me. But the other things you'll hear in the video, is that going down the route of, hey, if you're really, really good looking, you kind of get a pass. And is this what you're supposed to do as somebody in the influencer space? Once you hit 25 years old, he started taking steroids. And there's a whole lot of odd justifications about why he himself probably hasn't done it before, but he was someone who was really strong. He hit his peak and now he's doing music stuff. And he seems rather frustrated. And towards the back end of that, he actually lets that frustration out a little bit. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Everyone is prioritizing the same shit at the end of the day. This is why it's like, oh, fuck, I don't know how long I can stay around here. Because it all comes back to me saying the same fucking thing over and over again. I just can't, you know.
There's no more stuff to talk about. I just didn't really like the video at all from Zach's perspective. And he's talking to somebody, Greg Doucette, who's made thousands of videos on it. So it's not like he ran out of stuff to talk about. He just figured out how to do it. Didn't like that video, Zach. And I want to wrap it up with this one. Found it on Reddit. This might be controversial discussion, but what's the new era? And it's odd because I had an entirely unrelated conversation with somebody else which forced me to tweet this thing, which probably could be a video in its own right. But this was off of the back of Katrin retiring, which is what we started this video off with. And now that the people like Katrin are out, we know that, isn't that funny, out. Hashtag I'm out Black Square. Fraser's out, Tia's gone, Froning is no longer competing. Everybody from that era is gone. See you later. The comments say something like, the Rogue era. People are hating on James Sprague. Reddit really doesn't like James Sprague. And then there's this one comment in here from Spare Management, which just basically reiterates a whole lot of the talking points that I've had over the course of the past year. I don't think that there is a next era. Part of why folks like Tia, Fraser, Davidsdottir, etc. had the popularity following they do is because of the media team of the documentaries. We don't have those anymore. Not to the obsessive caliber that we did. No Road to the Games, YouTube videos that build up the story to cheer for. No behind the scenes to help flesh out the athlete's brand and characters. Sanctionals don't have the attendance and regionals did, nor the draw to watch certain athletes because of the story. Watching the games live is harder and more complicated and not as good. Everything produced by the athletes for their social media, curated perfectly and set to whatever song is viral at the moment to boost views. It's truly not the same, and minus some very major expensive changes with the brand, which a private equity mindset doesn't allow for, I don't see any future where CrossFit doesn't fizzle out over time as people find a more preferred method of fitness without the toxic leadership HQ has. Damn, that is a good take. Damn, this is a take that CrossFit should 100% look into. Hey, we have all of this extra money. What do we do? Okay, we're gonna hire the best media team ever. Hey, remember the Liver King? The Liver King is one solo person who took over the planet for a period of time. He had everyone thinking that he actually looked the way he did because of the freaking bull testicles that he was eating. You can convince anybody of anything if you have enough money to throw at somebody with a camera. And for the longest time, CrossFit was convinced to the entire world that it was cool, and it needs some convincing once again. Spare Management 2215 on Reddit, you have cracked the code, or at least put into one paragraph what I've been saying in minutes and minutes of videos over the course of the past year. I made the video just the other day about Josh Murillo talking about it. Why would anyone want to be the fittest on earth if it isn't cool to be the fittest on earth?
Everybody my age pees their pants. It's the coolest.
Why would anyone watch ESPN if they don't even know what's going on with any of the people? Why does it make sense to broadcast that stuff on ESPN? It doesn't. Nobody knows who any of the athletes are. Hell, I made this tweet. I'm gonna look at this tweet. I'm gonna ruin it. I'm gonna blow the cap off this tweet. Who are the current most popular and relevant male CrossFit athletes? Taylor Self and Colton Mertens. This freaking next guy says me. I should not be on this list. I don't want to be on this list. David Hippensteel, Justin Medeiros, Patrick Vellner, Roman Krennikov, Jeff Adler, Brent Fikowski, Saxon Paget, Emil Harris, and Noah Olson. Patrick Vellner is the only one with a personality amongst any of them. Justin Medeiros got a whole bunch of his followers off of the back of 2021, 2022, which was still riding the wave of the former time period. And I liken Froning and Fraser to Stallone and Schwarzenegger. A whole lot of work has to go into Jeff Adler to make him look like, I don't know, Dolph Lundgren. Maybe Roman's a better version of Dolph Lundgren. That's all it is it's work. And if CrossFit wants to be what it once was, it's gonna have to put some work in. Overtime, if you will. Speaking of that, I'm going to see an athlete this week. I'm not gonna tell you who the athlete is. I don't think very many people know who this athlete is, but I'm gonna let you know that it is the female version of Mr. Bill Leahy, meaning that I think she's gonna win the CrossFit Games in the near future. I say that, and I wouldn't be going all the way to Canada if I didn't think that was the case. And that's all I gotta say. Andrew Hiller.